Why are U.S. politicians so rich? When we talk about investment in the U.S., people might think of Wall Street and its charging bull. But we are here to focus on another group outside the main U.S. financial district who are quite good at investing, many of them on Capitol Hill. Let's talk about these special millionaires who also happen to be American politicians while being rainmakers in the stock markets. I'm Saina. Welcome to Factstyle. An article published in the Wall Street Journal in October reported that many federal officials were trading stocks in companies that intersected with their government work. The paper said that over 2,600 officials across the government's executive branch are involved in this type of trading. They said to own or trade stocks that could rise or fall based on decisions their agencies make. And this has happened during both Republican and Democratic administrations. What is more shocking is that these officials amount to 1 in 5 senior federal employees across 50 federal agencies, from the Justice to the Commerce Departments, from Defense to the Environmental Protection Agency. All of them. The Wall Street Journal analyzed more than 31,000 financial disclosure forms for about 12,000 senior career employees, political staffs, and presidential appointees. The review spans 2016 through 2021, covering 850,000 financial assets and more than 300,000 trades reported in stocks, bonds, and funds by the officials, their spouses, or dependent children. And this is what they found. More than 1,800 federal officials reported owning or trading at least one of 4 major tech stocks: Meta, Alphabet, Apple, and Amazon, although the government was ramping up scrutiny of big tech companies. About 60 officials at 5 agencies, including the Federal Trade Commission and the Justice Department, reported trading stock in companies shortly before their department made decisions such as charges and settlements against those companies. More than 200 senior officials at the EPA, nearly 1 in 3, reported investments in firms that were lobbying the agency. During the 6-year review, these government employees and their family members collectively owned between $400,000 and nearly $2 million in shares of oil and gas companies each year. What's even more shocking is the situation at the Defense Department. Officials in the Office of the Secretary of Defense reportedly collectively own between $1.2 million and $3.4 million of stock in aerospace and defense companies. About 70 federal officials reported using riskier financial techniques such as short selling and options trading, and some of their individual trades are valued at between $5 million and $25 million. In all, more than 90,000 trades of stocks were identified during 6 years, and for many of these transactions, timing is everything. So either these federal officials' financial advisors were super diligent, or these officials knew something that others didn't. According to Don Fox, a former general counsel at the U.S. agency that oversees conflict of interest rules, many of the federal agency officials are unknown to the public. Yet they have great influence that could influence the day-to-day lives of Americans, including but not limited to public health, food safety, diplomatic relations, and trade regulations. It's not just federal agency officials that are so good at stock trading. The Congress has long faced criticism for not prohibiting its members from trading companies that may present them with potential conflicts of interest.
The size and scope of what Congress is involved in has broadened dramatically. I mean, whether it's healthcare, whether it's defense, whether it's financial markets, and they have market-moving information, and they're going to act on that information. I mean, information is king.
The New York Times reported in September that 97 current members of the Congress have worked on matters in which they may have a financial interest where their spouses or dependent children bought or sold stock, bonds, or other financial assets influenced by their congressional work. But members of Congress doing stock trading is old news.
In March 2020, Senators Richard Burr, Kelly Loeffler, Dianne Feinstein, and James Inhofe were all accused of using insider information to profit in the stock market. And the news had a ripple effect.
Resignation. He must resign from the Senate and face prosecution.
Ultimately, this all comes down to greed.
In recent years, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has attracted a lot of public attention because of the strong returns she and her husband have gained in the market. Google searches for Pelosi stock trades hit a record high in January this year. There are even articles and videos online teaching people how to invest like this multi-millionaire couple.
Despite what you might think about the success of Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, and Cathie Wood, this 81-year-old Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives has become an investing meme because she's made a lot of money with Wall Street bet-style trading that anyone could copy since it's all publicly available for anyone to see.
Other members of the Congress have also traded corporate securities related to the work of the committees they serve. Representative Michael McCall disclosed in October that he and his family sold up to $200,000 worth of shares of Meta in September. 2 weeks later, shares of the company that owns Facebook nosedived by over $700 billion, or 24%. Bear in mind that Congressman McCall is an influential member of the Homeland Security Committee, which works with top tech companies on issues like cybersecurity. And the 10th congressional district that Congressman McCall represents also has a high concentration of tech companies. New Jersey lawmaker Josh Gottheimer also frequently traded stock and options of Microsoft, which he worked as a senior manager before joining the Congress. While working on the Financial Service Committee, he and his spouse bought and sold numerous stocks of bank and bankruptcy stocks firms such as J.P. Morgan, Wells Fargo, Stifel, and the BBVA. When Representative Austin Scott was on the House Armed Services Committee in 2020, he and his spouse bought a large stake in the military contractor General Electric, and they are not alone. A dozen politicians holding posts on either the House or Senate Armed Services panels are investing in companies like Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, and Boeing, making money out of their oversight duties. Some of you may also recall that in 2008, a number of government officials were tipped off to the Lehman Brothers bankruptcy that marked the beginning of a global financial crisis. They sold the shares ahead of time, even making money betting against the market. I guess this was just another excellent example of how people working on Capitol Hill can outperform the actual rainmakers on Wall Street. In response to years of allegations of insider trading by lawmakers and staff, the Congress passed the STOCK Act, Stop Trading on Congressional Information Act, in 2012, which makes it illegal for members of the Congress, their staff, and top executive branch officials to use government information for personal gain.
What the STOCK Act did is it made perfectly clear that members of Congress stand in a position of trust and confidence, and that duty is owed to the U.S. government and to the citizens of the United States.
The law also required them to disclose their and their family's stock trades worth more than $1,000 within 45 days of trading. This act is 10 years old, but so far, however, few changes have been seen. When members of the Congress and hundreds of staffers have been tardy in making financial disclosures, they can easily escape penalties. Even fines for violation have been minimal, a mere $200. You're not hearing me wrong, it's not 200,000 or something. It's 200, which can sometimes even be waived according to the bill.
The STOCK Act is enforced by the Department of Justice and the Securities and Exchange Commission. And where do they get their funding? They get their funding from Congress, which is the very body that they are supposed to be regulating. So the STOCK Act is good, but I think we need to do a whole lot better.
So for a decade, the law has failed to do what it should have done. Insider trading is alive and well in Washington, and getting worse. At the onset of COVID-19, dozens of lawmakers from both sides of the aisle traded a stock worth over $150 million. They bought shares, particularly in businesses related to remote work technologies, telemedicine companies, and car manufacturers that were shifting their production to ventilators. And they swiftly sold stocks in industries like hospitality that would likely struggle during a pandemic. Here's what an article on the website of Campaign Legal concluded, and I quote, "Elected officials focusing more on their stock portfolio while the pandemic spread across the country." I think these officials have picked the wrong career because they're clearly more interested in making money. In terms of investment, people talk about balance of risk and reward and diversification. And these members of the Congress, top government officials, and senior staffers have drawn out their financial roadmap, customizing it to reach their financial goals by insider trading.
If you sit on the Senate Armed Services Committee and you know that a bill is going to pass that's going to benefit certain defense contractors, and you buy stock based on that information, many legal scholars would say no, insider trading laws don't apply because it doesn't involve material corporate knowledge.
And this is how they could get away every time. They have power on one hand and money on the other. They can wield immense influence from Capitol Hill in people's daily lives, yet there are no effective regulations or legal boundaries on using their confidential knowledge. The use of insider trading by U.S. politicians to cash in on the stock market as an ATM, along with gun violence and huge yet secret political donations, may just well be incurable problems in U.S. society. Well, I guess when finance students learn about the power of compounding at college, if they want to surpass all those retail investors, they should be really focusing on another subject, the power of power. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. If you like our show, remember to click like and subscribe. And also, leave your comments down below. I'm signing out. I'll see you guys next time. Bye for now.